Everyone, Frederick here. Start with the risk disclosure as always. Trading involves substantial risk of loss. It's not suitable for all investors. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in the light of your circumstances, knowledge and financial resources. You may lose all or more of your initial investment. Only trade with risk capital, that is, money if lost would not affect your lifestyle or financial stability. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and in no event should the content of the website or my videos be construed as an express or implied promise, guarantee or implication by or from me that you will profit or that your losses will be limited in any manner whatsoever. I am not a financial advisor. I do not play one on the internet. I don't give any trading recommendations to buy or sell financial products. My trading systems are not real. I will only show you how to use this study, and you can read the full disclosure and terms and conditions on my website. Alright, let's get to it. The bundle, there's two studies in the Autotrader bundle. One is the manual signals generation. I will get to that as the last part of this video. And the SST Autotrader Study. Both are part of the bundle. So if you add your custom study, you'll have access to studies there, and we're going to load the Autotrader. Position the Autotrader below the signal studies, as discussed before. You'll make sure that the calculation order is correct. This way we make sure that the signals that are generated by the signal studies are actually tracked by the Autotrader. Then we open up settings, and the first thing we want to do is check out the off button. There's a off button number. It's in one of the last settings. This number corresponds to the advanced custom study buttons that are in my control bar right here. I loaded 10 of them. I adjusted my control bar to add them to my control bar. You can do that as well. I've made several videos about how to do that, and it's one of the previous videos that I discussed that. You can set the text that should appear on that off button, and that's it. This button corresponds to the turning on and off of the study. So those two are connected. So right now I will not set any settings here. I'll load it, and you'll see that the off button here populates. There's also a message showing here in the message log. The first one you will not see because I'm using a test version, but when the real one is out you will not see that. This one is a misconfiguration message. I will get into the detail of this particular one, but the study will generate these messages if you make a configuration error of some kind. The settings, important to notice, are documented, and you can click on description to launch a web browser with a local HTML page that goes through the study settings. So you can keep this at hand if you are confused about several of these inputs. The off button is organized now. Second thing is the status display. You already see that it tells you a few things if you have a configuration issue. If the study is in on status or not, it's sim mode. There's a few more if we turn it on. This status display can be turned off as well. So you want to turn it off, the setting right here, and it will be removed. I like to keep it on, so I'm always sure that my settings are the way I want them to be. The position can be set here with these numbers, and it will be start in the upper left corner. There's two color settings, one for live and one for sim status. So if you are in live status it will be orange, if you're in the sim status it will be blue, and this black color is the letter color. You can change those if you want to. So that's the first two things that I wanted to highlight. That's the off button and the status display. One more thing on the off button is that the advanced custom studies can be in a pushed state, but only one button can be in that state at one time. So this off button is now in the pushed mode. If I push another custom study button, the off button will be toggled as well. So that's why it's an off button and not a on button. So we will turn it off by actually pushing the button, and it will be turned on when you push any other button. So be aware of that. Then the little configuration issue. We have, if you would turn it on, you will see that there's a configuration issue. If that's the case, the study will still be in an off state. It won't go any further. So we have to solve that. And that brings me to the next setting, which are the session settings. There's an option to set 3 separate sessions. The sessions cannot overlap because it will just look for an active session. If it finds one, it will be on. So you will need to make sure you don't overlap. Right now the start and the stop time are the same, which means there's no session active. So if I want to activate a session, let's activate a 24-hour session from midnight till midnight, and we have no configuration issue anymore. Let's clear the log right now, and we can turn it on and we can turn it off. So that's the session time. The position sizing. We go down the setting list here. So we have a session set, and we have come to the position sizing. First, we need to make sure if we want to use a stop order and if we want to use a target order. Those are attached orders to the entry order. So these are your brackets basically. In the initial position size is taken from the quantities of the targets. So I'm using the target quantities to determine your total position size. However, if you do not use your target order, then the position size will be need to set separately. And that's right here, the size of each order. So that's only the case if we do not use a target order. Later on in the video, this will come back, and we will see how that works. So if you want to have one order out, we just set the first target to 1, and that's the order quantity that will be sent out with the entry order. We will not discuss the spread orders right now. We'll keep it as it is, but the maximum position size here is something you need to actively set the way you want it. It might be tempting to set that really large so you never get any error or misconfiguration messages, but I really urge you to keep this within your risk barriers so you do not overtrade or trade too big a size for your account. This maximum position size is actively monitored, and there should not be any reason to be on a larger size than the setting here. So it's set to 1 here. You will only trade a 1 lot, and your settings should correspond with that. If I would add a second target right here, then I really need to set this maximum position size as well, because if I would activate it, we get a misconfiguration issue here. So the maximum number of contracts is too small when using your set target quantities. This will not work. Check your settings. So that error message is quite useful. So we will not be able to use the study if you don't set it correctly. So that's the order size, important. Then there is the signal study input. So already came across that input in the other video, but this is the most important input that we need to set. We need to receive the signal study inputs from a signal study, and we define them. We name them, so the long is here and the short is here. There can be possibilities for creating your own signal study with some custom programming. Make sure that that's done correctly. It could be a different study for the longs and another study for the shorts. You can also pack it all up in one study with 2 subgraphs, or even one study with 1 subgraph. And the manual signal generation study is an example of that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter how you implement your signals, but they can be selected here, and make sure you select the correct one. So that's a very important input here. The next one will be the entry price options. With the Autotrader, you will generate an entry order and attach orders to it as your stop and target brackets. The entry order, there's a few orders supported. It's right here below that the signal study inputs. There is an order entry type. The entry order type. It can be a limit order, a market order, stop limit order, or a stop order. Depending your choice here, if it's a limit order, you go straight below. There is the limit price options here. You can set at what price the entry order, the entry limit order, should be priced. And there's a few options here. If you use a stop order or a stop limit order in the entry order type, you can set your entry stop price here. So that's for your stop price. If you use a stop limit order, there's also a possibility to set your limit, and that limit is set with a fixed offset from your stop price. That's also documented. If you use that limit order or stop limit order study SG value, then you have those settings right here. You can set the entry price based on a study SG value for longs and for shorts. And you can also set if you want to follow that. So you can follow a subgraph as your entry price. So that's the entry price possibilities. So depending on your order type, you have to carefully check if you set the correct entry price here. Then we have cancel waiting orders. So depending on the order selection here, every order except the market order has a possibility that it will not be filled. And we can cancel the unfilled waiting orders. We can cancel them based on a few things. We can cancel them based on time, on the number of bars, on a certain movement in the direction of that particular trade, or we cancel based on study SG. And depending on that setting, if you use time-based, you have to set the minutes here, etc. So that's the cancellation of waiting orders. The documentation is a bit more detailed, but you can check it out. So let's have a look on creating a system. We want to create a system. Let's have a look at the chart here. You want to create a system based on that crossover. So you have a long cross here, and we want to enter on this moving average. That's the goal. So we will enter a limit order on the fast MA retrace. We can cancel that order if we did not get filled in 20 bars. We will have two targets, one fixed 6-tick target and a target 2 at the upper envelope value. I didn't activate that one, but I created a envelope based on the slow MA with a number of ticks bandwidth. So that study is just there to give us a target. So you see this Friday move was big enough to actually reach that target. So we're gonna use that in the T2 target 2 value. The initial stop will be 12 ticks, and we have a trailing stop that starts if target 1 is hit. So the entry would be following the orange line. Initial stop 12 ticks. If the first target is hit, we'll move the stop to the slow MA, and the second target will follow the green upper band. So let's have a look again. This is what the strategy looks like, and we're gonna enter that in the study settings. So we start at the top. We have a session, that's good. We use a stop order and we use a target order. We have one target of 1, a second target also quantity of 1. We will have to set the maximum total position size here to 2. We'll use time in force day. You could also set good to cancel. Keep it at day. We will not look at the scaling and the reversals at this point. We'll verify the signal study, the long, the short, all good. We will evaluate the signals at bar close. There's an option to do intra-bar as well. Max trades entries per bar is only useful for intra-bar. Bar close, it won't be of any use. We're going to use the limit order, and we're going to set the order to follow a SG value right there. Since we selected that choice here, we will have to set the study SG for longs, which is the MA. Fast MA is the number 1, and this is the same for the shorts. We will follow that orange line. That's the entries. We want to cancel based on bars. We said numbers of bars, so we set that to 20. So if the order is out and after 20 bars it's not filled, we will cancel that waiting order. Then we move on to the target settings. There's a first target here. It's a fixed target. We said we would set the fixed target at 6 ticks. Now let's make that 6 ticks here. And the second target follows an SG, a study SG target value. Since we set that study SG target value, we have to use this setting here, and that will be the upper envelope, the top band for the longs, and the bottom band here for the shorts. So that's the target. The third target we do not use, so we don't have to set it. And we have the initial stop setting. The initial stop was 12 ticks, I believe. So we set that to 12. And we will not use a move to break even, so we keep that as is. We do want to use a trailing stop. We have a few options. You can use a regular or a trailing a study SG. We're going to go with that last one. And we have the trailing stop trigger. as the next setting. We said we would trigger after target 1 is hit, so we'll select trigger based on target fill, and we selected that one, so this trigger based target fill setting needs to be made. It's target number 1. If target 1 is filled, you will start to trail the stop on a study SG value. So we need to set that trailing stop study SG for long. We said we would trail the slow moving average, which is average 2 of that MA cross study, and the short is the same, the slow MA. We have no offset here, and that's it. Now let's quickly check two things. We set the entry to use a study SG value, that's set here, but we also want to follow that SG value. I forgot that. So we set follow SG value. We also set to follow the target, second target SG value. That's right here. So that needs to be set to yes. I think we covered everything now. Crossover signal on bar close, entry limits on the MA, cancel, 2 targets, stop, trading stop. So that's all set. So we can OK and OK. So this is the example system we're going to use. So let's do a quick replay of the chart and see what it does. Right now we have some time to check. The Autotrading Global has to be on, and we have to turn on the Autotrader. So right now you will see that we have everything on. Everything is good. We have an active session. Longs are on, shorts are on. We're in sim mode. We're waiting for that signal. Now that's all we need to do. And we expect a entry order size 2. One target at the initial target was 6 ticks, and another one following the SG, and the stop at 12. So that's the thing we're waiting on. Let's wait on that cross. We have a cross here, but as you see, the bar is not closed yet. So we said we evaluate the signal based on the bar close. So we expect to see that trade happen when the bar closes. If you set the Autotrader to intrabar, you would already have your trade right here. So let's see. There you go. The bar closed, and we have a entry following that study SG. The brackets are set as well on the initial values. Right now you will see that the entry will move with the study SG value. Moves up right here following that value perfectly. You also see that that target does not follow that SG yet, but that's because it's still a child order. You will see that after the fill, that child order becomes active in the market, and it will be set accordingly. So let's see. We get that fill. No fill yet. And here we should get that fill. There we go. We are filled. The target is followed. We have a first target here. Now the stop follows the yellow line. And see that happen in a replay. If you do a replay, you can actually see what the trade is doing and how orders are modified. If you do a quick back test, it's not that obvious all the time. So I use this to verify a few of the trades. So this looks good. I can speed it up a little bit. So that's done. Let's pause it. So we're done with this trade, and the other trader is ready to do another one. So with the current settings, you will not do anything with new signals. It needs to finish the trade and then it's ready for new signals. You can set reversals or adding to trades if you receive new signals. That's a different setting. So this is an example on the long trade here. If you want to do a quick backtest, it's easiest to do a bar-based backtest. But if you want to do a bar-based backtest, you need to disconnect the data feed. So let's disconnect the data feed. You see the Autotrader is having a connection issue. If you would be live, then you will not have managed trades because you lost connection. But if you're gonna do a replay, there won't be an issue. The backtest replay will just work. So it's doing its trades. It's taking 250 bars at that time to evaluate. And it's done. You will see that the message log is filling with a few messages. The most of it is that the maximum position size is reached and when you have room available for your position sizing. So it's actively checking how big your position is and if you can add to trades or not. And you also see that there were occasions where the fast MA value was not correct for a limit order entry, and that's being checked as well. So those signals were passed. Let's see if I can find an example of that where the signal could not be used. Let's see. Yeah, right here. You see there's a short signal, but price is above the MA, so you can never enter a limit order there. Just doesn't work. So that one is checked, and that signal is not processed. So that's a quick back test on this system. Let's say you wanna change a few things on that system, because let's take a look at the trade activity log here. If you set the correct symbol, you can have a look at your trade statistics here. See your results, and you see the trades that it took. And I will also release a Excel sheet where you can import those trades and quickly have a look on your performance. If you want to change a few things in this Autotrader, it's really easily set up. Let's say you want to do a different entry. So you don't want to enter based on that study SG value. You want to enter at the let's say we want to buy at the low of the signal bar. So we see a cross happen, we take that low as our entry price. We might get a lot less trades that way, or maybe a bit more. We can quickly test that. So we just add that setting up. We just do a new bar-based backtest right there. And we'd run with the new settings. Clear that log here, and we will have different results. Quickly have a look at that trade activity log and trade statistics. This did a lot worse than the previous one. So let's quickly it's quickly possible to do a little backtest. For this backtest, it's rather quick because I only have 5 days of data here. So make sure that you have the correct amount of data there that you want to test. And you can quickly test a little trade idea this way. That's the main part of that Autotrader study, by using a simple system as an example. There's a few more things I can highlight. I will go through them. Let's say we want to use the Autotrader only for your automatic entries, and we want to use the share a chart trade window to define our brackets. So let's have a look at that. Let's see here the brackets. Let's say we want to still use a quantity of 2, but we want to have a first target of 1, second target here we want to have that 5, and the stop needs to be 2. Let's define that as our main target and stop bracket. And we want to use that instead of the Autotrader definition. We need to do a few things. We have a setting here, use the share a chart user interface for attached orders. We set that to yes. We will have to, as written in the documentation, if we want to use that, we have to turn off the stop orders and turn off the target orders. If we turn off the target order, we have to set the size of each order separately. In this case it will be 2, because we have set the target quantity, the bracket quantity to 2 as well. And let's make sure we keep that SG value as we previously had as our entry. So right now we have it configured to use the attached orders from share a chart and only use the entry from the Autotrader. So we activate that and we run our little backtest again. So say yes, and it runs. And you can already see that it took different targets, different stops. You see we stop out with the 2 points, and we probably have a few winners as well. Right here, 1 tick, 1 point and a 5-pointer, and a 2-point stop. So you see that the different brackets were used, and the entry was still managed by the Autotrader. And you'll see that the trade activity log is different as well. You get different results. So that's the possibility for using other brackets in the Autotrader. So let's turn that back to the default, and we're good for the next one. With the Autotrader, it's possible to define spread orders. So let's say we have this signal here, and we define a price. Say we define a limit price here. Let's do it right here. And this is a bit of a front run maybe. We might have an ideal entry price that might be a bit lower, but we want to make sure we at least get that initial fill going. We have the opportunity to use spread orders. So I'll just draw this a bit roughly, but this is what it would look like. You would have your first order as you originally planned, and the other 2 will be spread around that initial entry price. And the characteristics of the trades will be the same. So in our case, we defined a limit order. All the other 2 will also be limit order. And that's the way spread orders work. if we look at the setting here, the spread order setting, there's a few options on the order type. We can set limit, stop limit for all of them, or we set the first one to be a market and the rest to be either a limit, a stop, or a stop limit. So in this case, if we set to all limits, we will also have to take a look at the maximum position size here. So let's say we have 3 spread orders, 4 ticks apart, and 3 orders with the current settings is a maximum position size of 6. So let's set that. And with this current settings, we will have a limit order on the SG value, and then we have the other one spread around it. Since we set to follow the SG value, all orders will do that. So in this case, it might not be the best example to follow the entry SG value. So we'll turn that off. So we only use the initial entry price here. And that way you can see what the spread order thing is doing. So let's have a look. We have set the spread orders. And let's do a little replay. Okay, expect the signal. There you go. It looks a bit messy, but it's not too bad. Spread this out a little bit as well. You see what's happening here. We have a signal. We said there would all be limit orders, and we already set the limit order entry price to be the SG value. So that's the one that's here. That's the first one. And the other 2 orders are spread, in this case, below the initial one. There's also a limit order 4 ticks below, another limit order 4 ticks below that. And that way you can spread your entry around a certain price and possibly make sure you get filled. In this case, we set it to not follow the SG value, so these orders will remain in place and will likely not get filled here. So probably see them all be cancelled after 20 bars. So let's have a look. There we go. They're cancelled, and that's also shown in the message log. Waiting order cancelled based on selected criteria. So this was an example of the spread order. A more reasonable example would be, for instance, this case as well. You are not sure if you're going to get filled on that limit order. So let's say we want to have the first target to be a market order, so at least get 1 fill. And the other one, say we want to have 2 spread orders. So the first one will be a market and the other one will be spread. So we can set that to leave that at 2 ticks, 4 ticks. And let's say we do want to follow that entry price of the study SG. What we'll see then is that we'll enter immediately on the signal with that first market order, and we'll have that second order, that spread order, basically follow the SG value. This is a possible use case of using this spread order entry possibility. There you go. You have entered with contract 2 contracts for that first one. It has its own brackets, and you have a second order here that's following the SG value that has its own brackets as well. You already see that the initial target order is almost filled, so we'll see a stop following the yellow MA in a bit as well, and we might get a fill of that second order later on as well. So in this case you will end up being long 4 cars instead of 2, with a defined entry, defined exits. So this is a use case as well for using the spread order entry option. So that's that. Stop this replay and flatten that. So that's the spread order option here. So to remember here that if you set any type here, you need to set the basic order type in the settings below as well. Your entry price needs to be set. So we're gonna set it back to normal again and look at what else I wanted to discuss. Adding and reversing. Yeah, there is opportunity to use incoming signals to add to existing trades when a new signal is received. If you set that to yes, it will do what it says it does. It will add a new trade to your already active position. You will need to set your max position size accordingly, because if I set this to yes and we do receive a new long when we are already long, it will not enter because of your maximum size. We also have a setting to reverse an active trade when an opposing signal is received. So if you're long and you receive a short signal, which can happen, that setting set to yes will cancel your current position and will enter a new trade on that new signal. That's what it will do. And you might get filled on that new entry or you might not. So that's adding and reversing. If you are not, you can also use exit an active trade when an opposing signal is received. This is different than adding and reversing. This is useful if you want to basically use long only or short only system and you want to exit on an opposing signal. So this will actually take you out of an active position when an opposing signal is received. And there's another option, 2 options here. If you are not in a position but you have orders waiting and you receive an opposing signal, you can, with this setting, cancel that order. So it's useful again for long only, short only. And you can also reverse that waiting order. So if you are currently have a limit order out for a long trade, you would receive a short signal, then with this setting you will cancel the long and will make a new order for the short. So those are those options to set. So that will make your system even more advanced. Then there is daily trade statistics. Daily trade statistics are one of the last few settings right below the trailing stop. There is maximum number of daily wins, maximum number of daily losses, maximum number of daily trades in total. There is a daily loss limit set. So if you want to use your maximum daily loss in dollar amount, you can use that here. You can also set if you want to use that evaluation during an active trade. So if that maximum daily loss limit is hit during a trade and this is set to yes, you will actually exit and will not be able to make new trades. There's also a daily profit limit opportunity there. These settings, these limits, are based on your daily trade statistics, and those daily trade statistics get reset, and standard is at midnight, but you can change the settings. General trade settings, and there's the time here, your daily stats reset time. So that's the possibility to change that to a different time. If the daily stats are reset, then you can start trading again, or you will have to set new limits actively to take on new signals. So if you set your daily loss limit to 500 initially, you reach that limit, you will have to actively increase it to continue trading, or you have to reset your trade statistics. So that's how daily trade statistics work. There's an auto recovery mode. It's just one setting, the last one even. If you want to use that, you have to set it here to yes. And what that does is, if you set auto trading on startup enabled, and you happen to be in a position or have trades out and you close down the chart for whatever reason, or you lose connection or your computer crashes, whatever, if you have the enable auto trading on startup, and if you have your recovery setting set to yes, then the Autotrader Study will make an attempt to go through your active trades after it reconnected to the trading service, and we'll try to start where it left off with managing the trades. So that's in there. You can test it. If you want to test that, you can test it on a trade simulation mode with live data. So if you have live data feed, you're in trade simulation mode, you can still test that thing, making sure that you're enable auto trading on startup and set that study setting to auto recover, and it will do the auto recovering there. Then there is the one final thing, the right click menu. There's a few settings I did not tell you yet, but if you look here, right click inside the chart, you have a few quick toggles. You can turn on and off the strategy real quick. You can also quickly toggle longs and shorts. So that's an option as well. So quickly toggle them. If you want to override your sessions, so let's say we have a session here. Midnight till 1200. It's right there, and let's replay that a little bit. You see we are currently in a session. It's turned on. 12 o'clock. We look, it's entering a trade as well. Fine. And By the way, you can also manually interact with the trade if you want to. You could move them. You could move them. They will all adhere to your settings, so if you follow things, it will continue to follow them, but you could also interact with them. You could also flatten it, and you'll be out, and the other trader will manage with that. Let's see, where are we? Almost there. You have that session. Session is off now, but we have a override here, which will turn the session on again, because we override all sessions with this setting. So if you have a session set, you can quickly change your mind and override it. So that's an option. And what else we have? We have scaling in, scaling out, which you should really check the documentation for that. You can support scaling in and out. This is the same setting as if you would use the setting right here of where is it? Support scaling in and scaling out. That's the same setting. Now if I set it here, scaling in, you'll also see a change right here. Okay, so really check the share chart documentation on scaling, what it means, but you could manually add a few trades while you're still managing. The other trader is still managing those trades. What else is here? Yeah, pause new signals. This is useful as well. You can also see it here. Signals are paused. This can be useful. Say you stop this. Let's say you are in a last trade of the day, so to speak. So say you get in this trade here, it's your last trade of the day, and after that you just don't want to trade anymore. You want to walk away. So you can pause your new signals, and that way any new signals received will never be used. So that's useful in some occasions. So that's the right click menu. Useful to most of these settings. And what else we have? Let's see. Oh yeah, then we have the manual signal generator. That's the last piece of this video. We already have a signal study right here. Let's remove it. I'm going to remove that one as well. And we're going to remove the visuals as well. So we only keep this on. What we want to add is that manual signal generation. We'll leave it above the signal, above the Autotrader, which is good. We check the settings. There's buttons there again. Button numbers 2, 3, and 4 are the defaults. That's nice with the number 1 we already used for the Autotrader. These are buttons you can click to generate a buy signal, a sell signal, or clear that bar from a signal. It has one subgraph, a signal subgraph. That's all it has. So you can set the text if you want. Leave it at default. Then we have here the buy, the sell, and the clear button. We want to use that in our Autotrader. So let's set that 24-hour session again. And we made a change to the study input. So the long signal will now be the manual signal generation. And we use signal SG. The short one will be the same. It will be the same signal generator with subgraph signal SG. And we're going to leave the rest the same. What we now have is an opportunity to enter trades manually. So let's go to a replay here, a bit slower, and demonstrate it. So we have pre-configured a limit order based on that SG value right there with a bracket. So we'll have to find a nice opportunity to go long or short here. One thing I didn't do actually, I want to do. Well, bear with me here. We're going to add the color background based on alert condition, just to visualize the manual signals. So this will be the long visual. See the ID2, yeah, the long visual. Alert condition will be ID2 HD1 equals to 1, and we're gonna color the background green, and then we duplicate that and we set this to the short visual. This will be -1. Color this red, and we can move them down like this. Yeah, this should all work. Sorry about that. Now let's play. So say we want to have a buy signal, just breaking out there, so you can enter that buy signal. Bar closes, there we go. Signal is in, and we wait for that fill, and we'll have the same characteristics as we already said it would have. See if you get that fill, I'm not sure. There we go, get a fill. See if you get that first target hit. If you hit the first target, it will move the stop down to that yellow one. And that target there of 2 is still, target 2 is still active, following the upper band. So you can see that this is possibilities to use manual entries and automated management. Let's speed this up a bit. There you go, first target hit, and it's following. Looks like we're gonna get stopped out here. And there we go, we stopped out. Let's pause it. So this is an example of a trade that happened, and yeah, you can then manually trade your setup. So you want to go long again here, or made up my mind, let's clear it. Oh, just in time. Sell, well, the sell won't work. We'll see that this will give an error because the limit order cannot be processed. So let's see. Have to go through the end of the day here. There you go. You see that entry SG is not valid, so this short limit order will not happen. So, example on using your buttons. So, say we buy, there you go. It's another order here that the trailing SG is not yet valid for this long trade. That's true as well. You have an initial stop here, so the order can still go on, but the trailing SG is this yellow one, and that's currently above the entry price, which is not really where you want it to have. So it gives you a warning. Maybe it works out in this case, maybe it won't. If it cannot trail that SG value, it will not do it until it can. When it can, it will. So it's pretty safe. If we don't get a fill here after 20, it will cancel the order. That's also part of the rule set, and that also applies to these orders. So we'll see what happens. There we go, we get filled. First target hit. Now the SG is valid, so we'll trail that. Well, that's the demo on the manual signal generator. Let's see, I think we nailed everything here. Demo time is over. Copied a lot in this video. I'll wrap it up. This is just an initial example. I plan on releasing a few more case studies to use this Autotrader with different systems. And if you have ideas, let me know. I'll be happy to have a look, and let's get this thing released so you can get busy. Thanks for your attention, and have a great day.